Yo, it's Fernando. Shouts out to Valley Views, man. They played me on the station. I was like, let me make you a jingle. So this is my jingle I made for them. This is what I had to do. This is Valley Views. This is what I had to do. This is Valley Views. Got me singing like, eh, eh, eh. So what you want? Got me singing like, eh, eh, eh. So what you want? Got me singing like, eh, eh, eh. So what you want? Got me singing like, eh, eh, eh. So what you want? I wasn't tripping when I lost my job. No reason to lie to my mom. Now I've got 8, 9 to 5, y'all. I was like, right on, right on, right on. No work on weekends, eh? Waking up early, sleep at 8. I think I'm surely dreaming.
Yes, folks. So we are back right here, folks. Again, this is your host here of Valley Views on KROJ, Hector. And it's once again a pleasure to be here with everybody for our series here called Meet the Candidates 2022 series on KROJ 101.5 FM here in the San Fernando Valley. And as we get ready here for our next candidate, we wanted to just let everybody know that this series goal is to inform our public on the vision, plans, and platforms of the candidates and their potential impact on our communities here in the San Fernando Valley and beyond. Valley Views and KROJ do not endorse any political candidates or campaigns. But with that said, I want to go ahead and introduce our next candidate here. We are talking about Luis J. Rodríguez, candidate for California governor. And first of all, Luis, welcome to the show. How are you?
Well, it's my pleasure. I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Yes. And we are just again, thank you for being here with us and really to get into your candidacy for California governor. And first of all, tell us, why did you decide, and I know that you have, done some other campaigns in the past, but why this time in 2022 did you decide to run for California governor?
Well, actually, you can imagine that with the Democrats controlling the state, Republicans are completely gone, consolidated, crazy. I mean, they're really gone to a place that insurrectionists, all kinds of things. But the Democratic Party, there's a lot of great Democrats, but they're not delivering. They're not delivering on homelessness. They're not delivering on ending poverty or even with the climate. Yes, they do what I call managing crisis, but they're not getting to the root. So that's what I feel my candidacy is. I'm running because I want to get to the root of the problem, the systemic nature of all these issues. I do have to say that the Green Party, the Peace and Freedom Party, and the Justice Party have united to support me. This is historical because, the progressive parties don't always get along, or the elites don't always support each other. They've united to support a whole slate of candidates, and I happen to be the one for the governor.
Yeah, and with that said, let's get into it here too. As far as the, you mentioned poverty, and in the state that is, somewhere along hovering 5th largest economy in the world, right? In the world here, we face a lot of poverty. We've seen through the pandemic, those that have the income gaps, if you will, that have really the gap has gotten a lot wider, wider for those that the haves and have-nots in that sense, right? And so, tell me, like, as California governor, what would be your plan to really help out the majority of Californians that first just find it really hard to live in the state that they love, right?
Well, yeah, because I love the state and I love the people. But here we have probably the wealthiest state in the whole country. Like you say, the 5th largest economy in the world. We have more number of billionaires than any other state. And yet we have the largest number of homelessness. That already tells you something's wrong here. This is not just about people don't want homes, or they're all mentally ill, or they're all on drugs. We lost our homes through processes of like what happened in the mortgage crisis, where people were being given bad mortgages, and then they were thrown out of their homes. Foreclosures happened everywhere. And what happened is the government pretty much bankrolled the banks instead of helping the people get homes. And then, of course, now we got gentrification. We got developers coming in outside the state. New York, big city developers came in downtown LA. They developed a lot of downtown, even in parts of Skid Row. But the people are being pushed out. So LA is pushing people to the deserts. As you know, they're pushing them out. They're not able to live here. My whole family, my siblings and their kids, moved out of LA because they can't live here. They're working class people, and they didn't go to college. I mean, that's, you know, they're just great people. They're out. They cannot live here. So this is something I want to remedy. We don't have to have that kind of income gap. We got to give people livable wage. We got to give people living incomes if they can't get a job. We got to train people for the kind of jobs that make sense. Clean, renewable energy is a good place to start thinking of jobs. The technology of Silicon Valley is only helping the few. We got to spread that technology to every community. There's a lot we can do to keep our people working and or living beyond survival mode.
Yeah, absolutely on that end. And as far as, so we have about, 40 million, Californians here. And one of the things that also has a big impact is, of course, the environment, climate change in general, right? And, having such a diverse state, not just with its our people, but also, of course, the climate itself and geography. And, we've had a situation related to drilling, off our shores, of course, as a consideration, especially with what's happening in Ukraine and the Russian invasion of Ukraine. But what is your plan in general for addressing and tackling really climate change here in the state of California?
Well, one of the things that I would do right away, they just found out that wind has surpassed every kind of energy except for natural gas as far as income jobs. That's just wind. We can do more to bring clean energy options. I'm for the Green New Deal. As you know, that was trying to get passed. I'm for doing it here in the state. I think the state has got all the resources it needs to be clean air, clean water, clean soil, and use the sun, use anything that we can so that we get away from the fossil fuel industry. The only thing that's holding us back is the fossil fuel industry, which is huge here, puts a lot of money in politicians' pockets and gets a lot of power, but we can get away from that. That's why we're even, this Ukraine-Russian thing with the oil thing is the only way to get away from that is not depend on oil anymore.
Yes, absolutely there. And one of your other, principles, that you talk about too is just being able to lead, of course, and being able to give folks opportunities, And how do you think our state, when it comes to economic opportunities, what's your vision for that moving forward as we are coming, out of this pandemic where we had, our unemployment rates that skyrocketed during the 2020, 2021 fiscal years. And, now that we're moving into this, if you will, recovery phase of the pandemic, what's your plan for just California moving forward economically?
Well, one of the most important things is to end poverty completely. If people are concerned about crime, which is rising, they're concerned about safety, but they don't realize that all they're putting the money in is the back end of it. Yeah, more police, more prisons. That's only the back end. We got to put it all on the front end. Where are our kids? Where are the schools? Where is the training? What are the families? How are they doing? Making sure that people get adequate pay, that everybody has a unionized voice, a voice of their own, where labor can sit at the table as an equal, not just behind the eight ball. We got to be able to provide, for example, farm workers. They're not given the proper support. This state was famous for the grape boycott. It was huge worldwide. And yet now, even today, we're not giving farm workers the proper attention. So I say, let's help all the working people of the state, give them and all on the front end. Because when you do the front end work and help build our communities and give the resources and provide the tools, all these things, the back end wouldn't be so bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely there. And then, which brings me to just talking about in general, when it comes to another thing we saw during COVID and, something that's existed even prior to that, but was related to health justice and what that means for our communities and Californians here. And you are in favor of the single payer healthcare system. And so can you talk a little bit about that and, the goal and the vision that you have for that single payer healthcare system here at the state level, sometimes known as Medicare for All?
I totally believe in that. I believe the state should take responsibility. The problem with what system we have now, it's not really health care, it's health care insurance. That's the systems. Insurance companies really have to be pushed out. They're pushing all the prices. They're making it hard for people to actually get the care they need. We need to make health care available for everybody, every resident. And that includes people whether they got documents or not. Human beings are human beings. They all need to be given preventable and also health care as they need it. And that's something that we can do. The developed world has it all over. And even some of the poor countries have health care for all. I definitely would fight for that. I'm ashamed, honestly, that Governor Newsom, who claimed that he would support single payer, did not speak out when it was in the last legislation, and they actually closed the whole committee, had to stop voting on it. I think that's a shame. We need to have people say, we're going to get this. We need it. It would solve so many problems. The pandemic wouldn't even have been a problem if we all had single payer quality health care for everybody.
Yes, absolutely. And another thing that I know that, through different work that you've done in the past and continue to do when it comes to just looking at mass incarcerations and looking at, here in California and, really all over our country, of course, but specifically here in California and looking at, the prison budgets, right, that are a little over $18 billion here for rehabilitation and things of that sort. What would be your plan based on like current conditions, right, to bring about more restorative and transformative justice programs to prisons and more importantly to communities and individuals here in California?
I've been a pioneer in this work for over 30 years. Restorative justice, transformative justice. I've applied it in different cities, including Chicago, all over LA, all over the country. I've gone to other countries trying to get people to realize that we shouldn't throw our kids away. We shouldn't throw the people who are troubled. They need help. They need treatment. We should put treatment on demand. If they need mental health, if they need drug treatment, it should be free and available. And if they need jobs and economic assistance, we should provide it. We can't just push people out and then when they get in trouble, punish them. It doesn't do anything. Punishing does not resolve anything other than just recycle the problem over and over again. So I'm for a restorative and transformative justice practices in every level. The $18 billion you're talking about can be used in far less costs to do more good than what we're doing now, just putting people away, sometimes 30, 40, 50 years. It takes, I think I last seen about $63,000 a year per person in prison. What a waste. They can go to Harvard 2-3 times with that kind of money. What can we do so that we can get the best out of people instead of just punishing them for sometimes the worst things they've ever done, things that they shouldn't have to live their whole life for?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a big impact when it comes to not just for the individuals that are incarcerated, but, even the families and, of course, generations to come as well, Yeah. And what about when it comes to just public education in general? California has one of the largest systems when it comes to, not only K through 12 or really pre-K through 12, but also, our public colleges and universities. And what do you think needs to change both on the budget priorities and then just with state funding really for programs to continue to make one at the college level tuition more affordable for Californians, and then also looking at just the pre-K through 12 public education system that might need, extra funding and support to really, get us to the next level, 21st century learning? Well,
it should be free and available to anybody. Education is not just a nice necessity. It's something that it's in other words, it's a right that people should have. We're talking about a world that's advancing quickly, but whole communities are being left behind the 8 ball. They cannot afford to go to school, and when they do afford to go to school, they're not prepared for it. What I would do from K to 12 all the way through, prepare young people for that future. It also has to be creative, because that's what we're talking about. We need innovation. So we're not just teaching people the things that aren't creative. We use creativity for all of it, for math, for engineering, for the technical things, but also creating arts, public beautiful arts in every community so that people can get into their imaginations and be creative about what they do. So education to me is about the whole person, and it should be free and available. And I'm also supporting the ethnic studies efforts to make sure that all our histories are properly seen and heard, and that our voices are seen and heard.
Yes, and that's and in fact, there was some state legislation not too long ago that passed related to ethnic studies. Some folks were upset that there was not enough there.
Yeah.
Others are definitely trying to move that ball forward for just a more complete ethnic studies there as well. And now moving into just in general, when we talk about different plans here for California when it comes to small businesses, because
Right.
Obviously we have our corporations that are housed here, of course, in California. We have many, but also small businesses, especially small businesses in our communities here, the San Fernando Valley, and all over the our state. But what are some plans that you would have at the state level to, one, help out small businesses, as well as to help support and grow some of these which are sometimes literally a family that's in a lot of debt at times, and also just struggling to they themselves staying afloat.
Well, I'll tell you, I have had small business myself. Of course, I founded a big nonprofit. What I find is that when you're in trouble, like for example, you move into a development and you're paying rent, and the landlord is going to hire the rent, and you're not a profit, or maybe you're in a small business where you can't make the big profits. They don't adjust. They just throw you out. We got no relief. I remember when we were being pushed out. I had a small little company with my wife, and we were being pushed out of this development, and we had no relief. We couldn't go to any city office, no county office, no state office. Can you help a small business? They don't got nothing for you. So I would definitely say, let's help people get their businesses going. The local flavor is important. We got these big national clients that come to our communities, the big fast food places and all this stuff. But what about the local people and the local flavor, that they can bring to it? I've had a lot of friends started businesses. We supported them. I even helped people financially with them. They're no longer able to do it. Where do they go? There's no relief. The state needs to make sure that these businesses are assisted every step of the way, and when they get in trouble, that they don't be pushed out the door. So I would definitely work for small businesses whenever we can in the state.
Yeah, and then moving into as we're almost here coming to a close here, but moving into racial and social justice here in the state of California, as we've seen, in 2020, of course, the reckoning of just the mass demonstrations right here up and down our state and really all across our country. But as governor, what would be your plan to continue to move us in a direction that is healing when it comes to racial injustices and really social and racial justice?
I love the word healing. I think we need a lot of healing. There's a big wound in the land. We need to be like root doctors, get to the root, get to why there's all this pain and suffering, discrimination, and racism. I'm actually the social, environmental, economic, health, justice candidate. I'm running on justice at all these levels. And my campaign slogan is, imagine a new California for shared well-being, then let's build it. Shared well-being is what's missing. And we know people hear about profits, people hear about other things. Shared well-being means that everybody's looked at, everybody's paid attention to, and everybody's taken care of. And there's all kinds of ways to do it, and make it multi-pronged. Bring in private industry, bring in the state to play a major role. Whatever we can do to keep people's livelihoods and their lives healthy and strong. And that, to me, is the best basis for safety, public safety, to ensure that we're prepared for whatever crisis that happens.
Yes, absolutely. And lastly, here as we're coming to a wrap, we just wanted to really just closing statements. So you have about 60 seconds or so. Just what are some final remarks you want to leave us with?
Well, I want to say that what's missing in politics is the big dream. We're so caught up in the practical things, and people get very political. When we say political, they mean they're just trying to maneuver, they're manipulating. Let's get back to the big dream. What is the best thing that the state of California can do for everyone? Have that big dream, and then we need the big delivery. Then let's make it happen. what is the next step? What is the realistic steps? How can we move energy in our state to make sure that everybody feels equitable in what the state can bring, and that everybody can actually benefit from being a Californian?
Yes, absolutely. Well, once again, we want to thank you, Luis J. Rodríguez, here for being here with us on Valley Views Meet the Candidates 2022 series. We wish you the best of luck with your candidacy for California governor. And we want to thank our listening audience once again for tuning in here on Valley Views on KROJ 101.5 FM. And we'll be right back after this musical break.
Yo, it's Fernando. Shouts out to Valley Views, man. They played me on the station. I was like, let me make you a jingle. So this is my jingle I made for them. This is what I had to do. This is Valley Views. This is what I had to do. This is Valley Views. Got me singing like, hey, 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 hey. So what you want? Got me singing like, hey, 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 hey. So what you want? Got me singing like, hey, 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 hey. So what you want? Got me singing like, hey, 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 hey. So what you want? I wasn't tripping when I lost my job. No reason to lie to my mom. Now I've got 8, 9 to 5, y'all. I was like, right on, right on, right on. No work on weekends, eh? Waking up early, sleep at 8. I think I'm surely